Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. I have a slightly different video for you today. I wanted to talk about a YouTube video that went viral. And it may have been too long ago for this to even be relevant, but it was called Dear Fat People. And apparently it was made by a female comedian whose name I won't say because A, I don't remember, and B, I don't want to give her any more publicity. Full disclosure, I did not watch the original video because I did not want to give it any more views, and I only saw a small clip of it on E! News, which I was actually really disappointed that it was on E! News, but yeah. So I probably shouldn't talk about it when I haven't seen the whole video. But again, I didn't want to give it any more views. I saw enough of a clip of it to get the gist of what it was about. There's kind of more to it than just me being upset about, you know, this woman making fun of fat people, for lack of a better term. I hate the term fat. I'm not all like politically correct, like, oh, you shouldn't use that term or blah, blah, blah. I just don't personally like the term. People are overweight. Fat, I feel like, is just such a negative term that I personally don't like using it. But that's not my issue, like, about it whatsoever. I'm not that politically correct. The first part of what upset me about the video was this woman who I'm assuming has never been overweight herself, or else she wouldn't have made this video. Basically talking about how fat shaming isn't a thing, and apparently going on some big rant about how much she does not like fat people. First of all, I'm going to address that issue first, because I kind of feel like if this was just a video about someone criticizing fat people or overweight people or whatever, I would have just sort of like pushed it aside because, you know, I would have just been like, whatever, like, this woman is obviously not a good person and I don't want to talk about what they're saying. I don't want to acknowledge the ignorance. So I normally would have let it go. There's a second aspect to why the video bothered me that I'll get to in a minute. The thing that bothered me about the quote-unquote fat part that I just really wanted to get off my chest, my fat chest. First of all, if you've never been a, for lack of a better term, a different person, like not the standard norm of person, if you've never been anything that made you quote unquote different, don't speak on those that are different. You know what I mean? Like, you can't speak for them because you don't know what they're going through. I'm someone who has been a huge weight range of the spectrum. I've been very overweight at certain times in my life, dangerously so almost, and I'm getting all misty-eyed about it. I've also been, I don't know if I'd say medically underweight, but I've been at the point where I have dropped my weight so much that it was not healthy for me physically and mentally. So I've been all the weights of the spectrum, so to speak. You don't know what other people are going through, you don't know their life. So to be so judgmental about what someone is going through is just so, it's so offensive because, you know, are there people out there who are overweight because they're unhealthy, because they are maybe lazy? I'm sure there are people like that. I mean, they may exist, but at the end of the day, don't hate them. They need help. On a sort of the different end of the spectrum, you know, I'm never someone who ever feels bad for thin people who are like, they picked on me because I'm too thin. I'm like, yeah, okay, poor thing. Like, you go eat a whole pizza and you don't gain an ounce, and poor thing. But one thing that put it in perspective to me was when I read Juliana Rancic's book, and she talked about how many people had criticized her for being underweight, and that people were constantly saying, you know, you're anorexic, eat a cheeseburger, you know, all that kind of stuff. And she's like, you know what, guys, if I did have an eating disorder, that's the worst way to let me know. And to me, it's like, if somebody is at a point where, you know, they're so overweight or so unhealthy that they, you know, have a medical problem, you criticizing them is not going to make them change. If anything, it's going to make them feel worse. It's like trying to, you know, bully a drug addict into going clean. Like, you can't do that. That's just not how it works. If they start feeling bad about themselves, it's only going to make it worse. That said, people who are overweight are not necessarily unhealthy. Some are, some aren't. You don't know their story, okay? I have been, I would say at my heaviest weight, which probably was considered medically obese, I was more active than most people half my size were. I was working in a dance studio. I was teaching dance classes, sometimes for like 6 hours a night. I went to the gym every day. I used to go for walks. Genetically, I put on weight easier than the average person. You know, at times my diet has not been ideal, but at the end of the day, to sit there and call an overweight person lazy, you don't know what they're going through. You don't know their story. You don't know how active or how little they have to eat to be the size they are. It's possible that they could be even heavier if they weren't just trying and struggling every day to lose the weight. So to sit there and be that judgmental and put fat people or overweight people into this category of, you know, she's something about, you know, they smell like sausage. Guess what, honey? I didn't eat sausage when I was overweight. So there were times when I was overweight, I was a vegetarian. I mean, so you don't know what people are going through. So to be that judgmental and to just loop everybody into a category is just so disrespectful. I had to speak on it. And you know, again, I feel like if that was the only thing that this video was about, I would have just let it go, because as much as it bothers me when people do this or degrade fat people or, you know, fat shaming, thin shaming, it's body shaming. You're a woman. Let's not do this to each other. Don't play me like that. You know what I mean? That aside, there's that aspect of the video that bothered me. The second aspect of the video that made me feel like I had to say something about it was that this woman is supposedly a comedian. And I've used the word woman. There's a lot of other words that I would like to use about her, but I'm going to be respectful because my mama raised me right. I'm gonna say this, like, she's supposed to be a comedian. And the reason that what triggered me to talk about this was the fact that I'm personally a female comedian. I'm not like a famous comedian. I've never been. I have had a YouTube video end up on TV. Thank you very much. And it was not offensive to anyone, so there. But you know, I don't have like big TV credits or anything like that, but I am a professional comedian in the sense that I do get paid to be funny. Comedy on this channel is not my main goal, so that's why if you're just like, wow, she's not funny on Everyday Starlet, that's not my main goal. My main goal on Everyday Starlet is beauty and fashion and lifestyle, and you know, humor is not my main focus. So that's actually why I'm doing this video on this channel and not on my comedy channel, because I didn't want to address this video in like a funny way, because for me it was a serious issue. This woman is supposedly a comedian, backtracking, and apparently when this controversy came out, she made a statement that got me really, really upset. Her statement was that the reason people were getting upset was because she doesn't look like a typical comedian. If she was a male comedian, people would not be getting this upset. And I want to call bullshit on that one, because I am now, again, speaking as a woman who does not look like a typical comedian. I'm not someone who people traditionally think of as a comedian. I'm gonna say right now that there are a lot of disadvantages to being a female in comedy, but there are also a lot of advantages. Whether the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, I don't know. I mean, that's still up for debate. But one of the advantages that women have in comedy is women can get away with saying a lot more than men can. So when you're doing something, which I don't believe that this Dear Fat People video was funny, I think it was shocking, and I think there's a difference between shock comedy, which is just saying something shocking that gets a reaction out of people, and saying something funny that makes people laugh. I think those are two different things. I think this Dear Fat People video was shock comedy, not funny comedy. For me personally, other people may have laughed, I don't know. You know, that's on you and that's for you to deal with in your conscience. But I'm here to say, if you're going to make fun of something or say something shocking, you as a woman, you have more leeway to say those things than a man does. It's just the way audiences react to people. So to sit there and say, you're upset because I said this because I'm a woman and a man can get away with it, guess what? A man could not get away with it. I mean, as much as anyone's gonna get away with it, like, there's no, like, YouTube police or anything. Well, maybe there are. YouTube has been taking down people's videos and stuff, so I don't know, maybe there is. But whatever. So I wanted to say that, and I also wanted to say that, like, for the future, for people, comedians and people that want to make jokes about things, like, you can say things that are shocking and you can say things that are edgy. You know, I've actually been very vocal about, you know, like Jerry Seinfeld did a whole essay or article or interview or something about, like, you know, colleges are too politically correct. And believe me, I'm all for edgy comedy. I'm all for pushing the envelope. I feel like you have to be smart about it. One of the things is, like, you can make fun of your own ethnic group. For the most part, like, you have free reign. If you are something, you have free reign to make fun of it. Like, that's generally the consensus. That said, you can make fun of someone who is in more power than you, but not someone who has less power than you. For the example that people have always told me is, like, you know, if you're a boss you can't get up on stage and make fun of your secretary. It's gonna make you look mean and cruel. Whereas if you're a secretary and you get up on stage, you can make fun of your boss till, you know, they find out about it or whatever. Like, the audience will read with you because they want you to be vulnerable. The powerful person cannot make fun of the powerless. The powerless can only make fun of the powerful. So that's the thing. Like, if you're a thin person, don't go making fun of overweight people, because they're the people that are struggling. And that's just how it is. Like, that's the way the world is. And I find it just very ironic that you know, women in comedy have such a difficult time. Like, there's been such a struggle. It's probably easier now than it ever has been, but it's still a struggle every day. Something that male comedians or men in general can never truly understand. The fact that this comedian, you know, basically sat there and degraded a group of people that are already so shamed and tortured, and people that are already treated so poorly. And then, to defend it, she hides behind another group of people that she supposedly is, that's already, like, tortured and treated badly. And to me, that's so hypocritical. To be like, yeah, these people are terrible, but I'm gonna go over here with this group that's, you know, abused and mistreated, and I'm gonna hide behind that. And that, to me, is what upset me the most. As somebody who has been overweight, and as somebody who has struggled as a female comedian, and seen both aspects, I don't really want this person on my side on either end of the spectrum. I'm not going to defend her because we're both women in comedy. I guess I take this stuff very personally. I take people, you know, who... I take mistreating or bullying or shaming people for their body image so seriously, and I take the way that women are treated in comedy so seriously. So the combination of the two things in this issue made me really upset. I'd love to hear what your point of view is about this issue. If you enjoyed this video, you know, give it a thumbs up, because the more thumbs ups it gets, the better it is for me, and the more we get the word out there about, you know, not bullying and not body shaming people, and, you know, empowering positivity as opposed to empowering the negativity. I know that sounded way too like new age spacey, but I don't know. I'm in a place right now where I want to promote positivity. I want more positivity in my life. If you want that too, give it a thumbs up. So again, I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this. If you want to Google the video, go for it. I just personally don't really want to give it any more attention, so I'm not going to link it or anything like that. But if you want to, that's totally up to you. I totally understand if you don't want to talk about it if you haven't seen the video, so I normally wouldn't. Again, love to hear your thoughts. Thumbs up. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you guys join me next time.